Hola muchachos, welcome back to Let's Build the Ultimate Theme Park in Planet Coaster. My name, if you didn't know already for some strange reason, is Tyler Cedarwall. In the last episode, we started building our gigantic sci-fi complex that has the start to a new roller coaster, the entrance to our monorail system that's going to go around the whole entire park. It has a bumper car area, it's going to have a food court, and it's going to be really tight. This episode, we're going to take a short break from that and start working on the other side of the park, which we are currently traveling to fairly slowly. But first, we got to make a pit stop. Hit those brakes. First thing we got to do this episode is we got to put up the sign for the Manhattan Project. I forgot to put it up like the past 5 episodes. I kept forgetting, but I finally remembered. So we are putting up our sign, and I couldn't fit the whole entire name of the coaster onto one sign, so I had to use 2 separate signs in order to do it, but that's all okay because it actually ended up looking way cooler being on 2 separate signs anyways. And with this sign being completed, the Manhattan Project is now officially finished. And that's also changed the name of the Gamma Ray on the sign. And let's go ahead and head over to the other side of the theme park, which is what we are going to start developing today. Now, it took me quite a while to decide what exactly I wanted to do theme-wise for this side of the park, but after thinking about it for 7 long days and 7 long nights, I finally came to my consensus on what the theme is going to be for this section of the park. And I'm not going to tell you quite yet because I kind of want to leave you guys guessing. I'll tell you what it is later on in the episode, but for now, let's talk about this monorail that we're building. So we're going to have a monorail system that goes all around the park that takes you to all of the separate sections. I don't know how many separate sections we're going to have quite yet. Right now we're about to start the second section. We'll probably have 4 separate sections. That's usually like the safest bet whenever it comes to designing a theme park in these games. Anything more would probably be a little bit too much. I mean, we definitely have the room for it. You get a lot of space when building theme parks. But we will have that monorail go around the whole entire park to transfer the guests who are too fat to walk themselves to the other sections of the park, or too lazy. I guess you could also be lazy but not fat. The two aren't mutually exclusive. I know plenty of really skinny people that are lazy as hell, and that's probably the reason they're skinny, is because they're too lazy to make themselves food. I mean, I'm pretty hungry right now, and I have a whole entire bag of pizza rolls in my freezer, but I'm just too lazy to cook them. Pizza rolls take a long time to bake. You have to wait for the oven to heat up, and then you have to wait for them to cook, and then you have to wait for them to cool down. But usually, you don't wait for them to cool down. You just bite into like their hot, molten lava shells and completely destroy your mouth in the process. It's just the process of eating pizza rolls. You can't eat pizza rolls and not completely obliterate your mouth with the first like 10 rolls or so because you're too eager to eat the whole entire plate before they can even cool down. That's the story of my life pretty much. Now that ride that I just built in front of your faces like 30 seconds ago is actually called a hammer swing. I've only seen one of these in real life at any theme park I've been to, and it's actually at the theme park that's really close to my house called $7 City. There's a hammer swing ride called the barn swing, and it's really freaking fun. My only complaint about it is that the ride doesn't last long enough. I wish it lasted a bit longer. You know, rides that are really fun but just seem to go by way too fast. It's one of those rides where loading up takes like 3 times longer than the actual ride itself takes. Yeah, one of those things. It's actually a really fun type of ride, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to put it towards the front of the park. And it's also just really massive and cool looking. And I decided to make it green so it would kind of fit in with the trees towards the entrance of the park so it wouldn't stand out too badly, because it's the entrance of the park and I don't want to have any rides like completely catch somebody's attention and detract from everything else that is around them. We'll go back to the swing in a second. The thing I'm working on right now is I decided to put kind of like a Pier Dock type thing on the edge of this path with some seats on it that overlooks the water. So when people enter the park, there's a nice area with a lake in the background. They can take some family photos. You see the coasters in the background. You'll see some other rides in the background. And I don't actually think this game has this type of feature, but it would be really cool if they added a feature where you could set up points where you recommend the guests to take photos, and the guests would actually stop and take photos with their families and stuff. That would seem really realistic, because that is something that a lot of people do when they're at theme parks, is take family photos for the memories. Thanks for the memories, even though they weren't so great. Sorry, I just had a random Fall Out Boy outbreak. Speaking of which, They just put out a new single recently, and it's pretty cool. I'm kind of excited for their new album. Anyways, that has nothing to do with the series whatsoever, but Fall Out Boy, good band. They're pretty consistently good. Okay, so now we're gonna start building a structure around the queue for this ride. You see all the guests are excited for another ride in the park. They're like, finally! It's been like 70 episodes since we've had a new ride to ride. They're all like little ants. I'm actually gonna have to turn off the guests probably. I think I ended up turning them off. I've actually recorded 3 episodes and edited the footage for them already. I just haven't recorded the commentary yet. I've been a little bit lazy when it comes to recording commentary, but I have 3 more episodes recorded of this, including this episode. And I think it's next episode where I finally have to turn off the guests just because my frame rate was getting too choppy while playing the game, and it was becoming a little bit annoying to play the game for a few hours and having such choppy footage. But something I could do is it gives you the option to set a park capacity so you can limit the amount of people that come into your park. So maybe once I get everybody to leave, I can put a park capacity on and set it to something like 200 guests or so. That would still be enough to where you could see people ride the rides and waiting in line and actually walking through the queues, but not so many people to where the AI of all of those guests just completely lags my computer. I would like to upgrade my computer soon, I just don't have enough money, but I am working with a new job. I've just started doing some marketing work for a restaurant that I used to serve at. Well, I still serve there a couple days a week, but I'm doing their marketing now, and it's actually going really well, and I think I might actually get some good income in the future. So maybe once that starts picking up, I can upgrade my computer. The thing is, I still have a lot of taxes to pay off, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to invest money into my computer anytime soon. I gotta like set my priorities, I guess. I don't want to get arrested by the IRS, which is entirely possible. I'm pretty behind on that stuff, but I probably shouldn't be talking about this on YouTube videos, should I? Probably not. Will I edit it out? Probably not. It's whatever. I'm pretty open about my life. Also, I want to give a heads up. At the end of this episode, we will actually ride the Gamma Ray, the coaster we finished a couple episodes ago. I forgot to ride it on one of the episodes after we finished it, and I will put footage of the ride at the end of this episode. The only reason I didn't do it at the beginning of this episode was because I recorded the footage after I built the stuff in this episode, and you can see it while riding the coaster. So to avoid spoilers, I put the footage at the end of the episode so you couldn't see the stuff that I built this episode. And now, I believe it is time for me to reveal the theme for the new section of our park. The theme that we are going to end up choosing is a medieval fairy tale theme. So let me give you kind of a rundown of kind of some of the ideas I have in my mind for this section. So what I'm building right now is I'm building an outer castle wall that's going to separate this section from the rest of the park. And in this castle wall, we'll obviously have a giant elaborate castle, but we'll also kind of build up to it. So we're going to have a more common area where the commoners and peasants live. It won't be like terrible. It'll be a nice kingdom. So it'll be like a nice village on the inside of the wall. And then as you go up further, you will get to the actual castle itself. And in the castle, I want to build a gigantic, just epic coaster that just blows your mind. Like have the castle be extremely large, like much larger than you would actually see a real castle being. Just I want to make it super duper tall and just very surreal, and then put a really just awesome coaster inside of it and just really put tons of detail into that coaster. And then we'll just have some other rides. I want to possibly put some go-karts in this section. I'm gonna put I don't want to spoil anything else. That's kind of some of the basic ideas that I have in my brain though. But this monorail is going to be on top of the castle wall that surrounds this village, and then the monorail will eventually leave the wall, but it'll be inside the wall for a bit, which will really help it blend in with the environment in my opinion. Nah, I'm just kidding you guys. I'm not actually building a castle. I'm actually building America right now, and I'm starting off with the wall that Trump is going to be building soon. Just kidding. Has that actually started? Like, have they begun building that yet? Are they going to actually build it? I really hope not. It seems like a big waste of money, personally. I feel like we should save that money and give it to like kids and schools and stuff like that. But you know, that's just me. That's just my own personal opinion. I'm not gonna get political or anything. But this is actually a castle that we're building right now. And so I'm just trying to put in a decent amount of detail into this wall, but not too much, because walls aren't usually super duper detailed. Usually they're kind of simplistic. They're not meant to wow people, mostly because they're meant to be the first thing that take the blows of war if anybody is trying to come in and, you know, attack them. Now, it would be really cool to try to build the wall from Attack on Titan in this game. You could literally recreate lots of things from different games or movies or other various things in Planet Coaster. I actually have some other parks in mind that I really want to build, but at the same time, I don't want to start too many projects or else I might not finish any of them. I'm the type of person, I usually am working on several different projects at one time, but at the same time, I don't allow myself to work on too many projects because I do want to finish the stuff I'm working on. And that's like one thing I do kind of pride myself in, is even though it might take a long time sometimes, I usually do finish everything that I start. The one thing that took me a long time to finish, but I'm really proud of myself for finishing it, was my album Game Face. I'm actually almost done with a new single that I'm really excited for you guys to hear. It's my favorite song I've made so far, and I'm super excited about it. But back to the glorious wall, I ended up putting these archways on the very front of it because I wanted people to be able to see that there was a monorail inside of it whenever they were walking up, so they're aware of the fact that there's a monorail to take them to other sections of the park in case, as I said earlier, they're too lazy to walk over there. Now what I'm going to do on the outside of the wall, kind of where this giant barn swing ride is, or the hammer swing, is I'm just going to put a few buildings that are kind of the same style as the bathroom that we built in the very first episode, that kind of like half standard, half medieval looking bathroom. Is the building closest to us right now in that very first plaza that we created. I'm just gonna put a few buildings that kind of have that style, that kind of act as like a transition from the regular like standard entryway to the medieval section. So they'll be like half standard type buildings with medieval influence, kind of like how I built that very first building. Now the biggest struggle while building this wall is that it is my first building I've ever created that turns, that isn't on like some sort of angle that actually I'm trying to make curve and follow the path of the monorail. And it was a little bit difficult to really make it flow. It took me a lot of trial and error to really get it perfect, but once I finish it, it looks really good. I ended up tying it all together very well. I'd had to do some like overlapping of walls to really try to make like a fluent curve, but overall, that's the thing farmers wear. But overall, I ended up doing it pretty well, and it looks really nice whenever I finish it. I'm very excited for this wall. It's a very nice start to the new section of the park, and that's always a good feeling, starting off on a high note. Way better than starting off on a low note. Like, think of it like school. It always sucks to start your semester by like failing your first test, but it's always great to start your semester by acing your first test. So I'm happy we're acing this wall instead of failing it. The next episode, what we're going to end up doing, if you don't remember last episode, I asked you guys if you wanted me to work on that new coaster that we started last episode, or if we wanted to work more on the building. And the general consensus was that I should do the coaster first, so that is what I do. So next episode, we are going to build our new roller coaster, and I've already built it, and I'm already excited for you guys to see it. I just love this game because it gives you such a perfect platform to build just so many dope things, and it just makes me smile constantly. Also, one other thing I want to tell you about real fast that kind of sucks for me is when I was recording this episode, I actually built this wall, and it was looking pretty good. It took me around an hour and a half to build it, and I'd gotten really far, and then Planet Coaster crashed, and I hadn't saved recently, so I had to rebuild everything from scratch, and it really sucked. But at the same time, it's kind of a good thing because I'm building this wall a bit more quickly and a bit more efficiently compared to the first time that I built it. So overall, it's not that bad of a situation, but it still sucks having to rebuild this wall a second time, especially because it's a kind of repetitive structure to build. There's not much variety. It's just kind of trying to make everything curve and fit along the path of the monorail. But I have built this. This is the second time I have built this wall, and it actually did turn out a little bit more clean and professional looking the second time as well. So that's probably a good thing that I'm having to re-record it. Also, I do want to take one more second and apologize for the gap it took in between videos again. And this will also probably be my last apology for videos that take a long time to get out. Not because I'm not sorry when it takes a while for me to upload a new video, but it's because of the fact that people who watch this series and binge it later on in the future, that's kind of irrelevant information to them, and I don't want to constantly bring up the fact that the videos were uploaded with pretty big gaps in between them, because most people who watch the series in the future won't even be aware of that fact, and I don't want it to be like a droning thing that I keep on saying every single episode that takes a long time to get out. So pretty much view this as the apology of apologies. Whenever a video takes a long time to get out, I apologize for that. It's my bad. It's just because I'm busy and also sometimes lazy. It's a combination of the two, and that is the end of that. I am sorry when videos take a long time to get out, but I can't keep apologizing every single time it happens, because then it becomes annoying to people binging the series in the future. Anyways, added some nice, beautiful flags to our castle to give it some character, because every castle wall needs character, obviously. It has to have some personality. It needs some sass. It needs some spunk. And even though those flags don't give it that much spunk, it still helps. It's better than nothing. It's the thought that counts. I'm not sure why I'm acting so sassy all of a sudden. Call me Tyler Sassywall, yes. That was a really creepy laugh. I'll never do that again. I might. I can't promise anything, actually. I mean, honestly, I can't even promise that tomorrow will come, because as far as we know, North Korea could finally lose it and shoot a nuclear missile at America and then start an all-out atomic war and destroy the whole entire world. So because of that fact, I honestly can't promise you tomorrow. But let's not think about the worst case scenario. So I also added a sleeping dragon on top of that wall, just because I wanted to really give a more fantasy-like feel to this castle. I don't want it to be super realistic. I want it to seem super magical. It's like a magical kingdom. It's like Harry Potter world. And with that, I am finished building the wall for this episode. To finish off this episode, I am actually going to complete the circuit for this monorail, just so we can kind of see where the stations are going to be. I'm doing the very rough draft of this right now. This is like not what it's going to look like at all, except for the placement of the stations, but the actual thing connecting them is going to be completely different. I just wanted to kind of get this in here so we would have an idea of what things would look like. And the building process, this episode is a little bit shorter than usual, but I also had to record it twice, so I didn't want to record quite so long. And then also we're about to ride the gamma rays, so hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen, because we are riding the gamma rays.